Greetings, programs. Welcome to the grid. There is your pop culture reference of the night. Will you hear more? Only time will tell. Welcome to a very special edition of Geek at Birth. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture. Unfortunately, Dave Adams, the golden voice of the South, I believe is his nickname. Unfortunately, he will not be with us this week. But fear not, because I got two wonderful people who are going to join me on this safari, this cruise into the jungle or something or other. Isn't there a new movie called that out right now? Probably is. Anyway, join us all the way from Canada. Ladies first. She is the host of Willow's Pillow Talk on HWS Web TV. Willow Schuyler's here with us. Willow, how are you?
Hey, so you don't get the golden voice of the South, but you get the golden girl of the North.
Exactly. And how are you, Willow? How are you?
I
How are
am
things in your
great.
neck of the woods?
Fantastic. A little smoky, but we're dealing with it.
A little smoky? It's a bit late for 420, isn't it? But anyway, that's neither here nor there, and that is not the main topic of tonight's episode of Geek at Birth. Also joining us, he has a million snazzy suits. He is a limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun over there at HWS Web TV. Please give it up for GW Pomature. GW, how are you?
Oh, I have your music on loop in my head, so.
Oh, you do?
I'm grooving, baby. It's awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You guys totally need to have like the speed racer going or something Tron related to that music.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
As I was telling the producers and creators of that lovely intro, and by the way, for those of you who did put it together, thank you so much for doing so. It did remind me of going back to the grid, going back into the world of Tron. Maybe the Mouse House will wake up, smell some coffee, and give us our Tron 3 already. Gosh, man. It's been over 10 years since the last film. You're killing me, Mouse House. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So, here at Geek at Birth on this week, we have a few topics we'd like to discuss with you, and hopefully you'll enjoy these as we go along. And by the way, if you have any questions about anything or any comments about these topics that we bring up, feel free to leave a comment in the chat, leave something in the comment section below. Our producer's going to be monitoring as we go throughout the course of the program. So first things first, if you were a kid in the 1990s, the greatest decade of them all, and you were watching networks like Fox Kids, Kids WB, Nickelodeon, SNICK, which stands for Saturday Night Nickelodeon, from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, some of the best hours of television programming in history, then you might have remembered there was a game show on Nickelodeon that originally ran from 1993 to 1995, the year of our Lord, and it was called Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was hosted by Kirk Fogg, and it starred a giant talking head named Olmec that was voiced over by D. Bradley Baker. And I gotta tell you, I love the show. I was always team Blue Barracudas because blue is my favorite color in the entire world. Willow, Garrett, are you familiar at all with Legends of the Hidden Temple when you were growing up? I mean, granted, Garrett, you're like 600 years old, so this was long after your time.
Yeah. I was going to say, the show is Geek at Birth, and I have to say, I've been a geek since before geeks were born.
That's true.
They used to hatch us out of unused dinosaur eggs. So, I mean, but yeah, no, I do actually remember the show from the 90s. I wasn't a kid. I had kids at that time. It was, I love fun game show premises. I love the old game shows. And we've talked here on the network a bunch of times about how, some of those classic old game shows work. But in the 90s, they gave game shows, especially Nickelodeon, they gave game shows a rebirth and made them fun, made them really, dynamic, more athletic, more just pop culture-y, man. And I mean, let's face it, who didn't fantasize about being on a team that was Indiana Jones? I mean, you and your teammates were on a quest for and to be talked to by a giant Olmec head is always fun.
Yes, that is very true. Willow, any familiarity at all with Legends of the Hidden Temple? And which team would you have been on if you competed on the show?
Probably go with the red team. But...
That would be the Red Jaguars. There was Blue Barracudas. There was the Orange Iguanas. There was the Silver Snakes. There were the Green Monkeys. There were the Purple Parrots. So you would be the Red Jaguars?
Most likely, yeah.
Most likely. Because they're beasts, and you like beasts from the X-Men, so it makes sense. there's a fun fact for those of you watching at home. Speaking of the 90s, there's an animated series knock for you. So Legends of the Hidden Temple is coming back in style, but this time it's going to be on the CW television network. It's not going to be on Nickelodeon. It's going to be on the CW. It's going to be hosted by a comedian by the name of Cristela Alonso. Is going to be the new host of this program, and D. Bradley Baker is returning as the voice of Olmec, the talking head, aka the co-host of the program. So it's going to go down on October the 10th, 8 o'clock Eastern time. For the rest of you out there in the world, feel free to check your local listings, because I am not going to run down all 50,000 time zones. That's not happening.
Ryan,
yes?
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is actually a show. This is not just kids anymore.
They're going to be featuring adults. Yeah, they're going to be adult contestants are going to be on this show. So they're going to be teams of adults. Can you believe that? They're adulting now. It's crazy. They used to be between the ages of like 8 and 12-year-old kids. Now all of a sudden they want to gear up and say, well, it's 2021. We want to bring in the adults, because those who were kids back in the day are now fully grown adults, such as myself. And we want to compete in this shindig, so why not? So that's going to be very interesting to see. Please, Blue Barracudas, I want you to win. So we'll see how that goes, but October 10th is the air date. I'm very much looking forward to this. A trailer, or should I say a teaser trailer for this, has been released on social media. I'm digging it. I like it. You don't get much except the talking head saying, "Let's rock," as the immortal Olmec likes to say. So I'm psyched up. I can't wait to see this thing. I'm very curious to see how adult contestants are going to do on this show compared to how the kids perform.
So now, I was going to say, do we get a more? Are they going to amp up the obstacles along the way? Are we going to get more?
Could be.
You know,
we don't know.
Don't get me wrong. Details. Some of us adults cannot be physically challenged all that much. Is there a team that would be willing to carry me? Or,
I'm not sure.
So,
Something tells me you wouldn't survive on the show.
So just to give everyone a bit of a synopsis of how this show works. The teams start on an obstacle, and who the first, I believe it's 5, is it 5 teams, or is it, between 4 or 5 teams of the 7 that start, they go to the steps of knowledge. They compete in a series of questions. The more questions they answer, they get to the bottom of the steps of knowledge. They move on to the next round. Then it comes down to the final 3 teams, and it goes down to the final 2. And then out of those 2, the one team gets to venture through the temple in order to get the treasure of the week to bring it back to the entryway. But they get a pendant of life. Now they have to avoid the dreaded the Mayan temple guards. If the temple guards find the contestants, take their pendants, that means their partner has to go in and finish where they started. So that's how it goes. It's a team effort. So anything can happen. My question is, are they going to make the 3-part monkey statue easier to put together in the adult version? Or are they still going to make it challenging like it was in the kids version? I don't know, but I feel
like they're gonna mess you up.
They're probably going to amp up the obstacles, because you have, what am I trying to think of here? There's the moat, there's the, the monkey bars, there's, oh my gosh, there's the cave, there's the caverns, there's all kinds of stuff. So basically you're Indiana Jones trying to steer your way clear of the boulder, in a way.
What's great about that is that, for adults now, when it was kids, it's just great fun, and they bounce. When they fall, they bounce. But for adults, what's great is you have all of these obstacles, and then there's the final objective, which is to get to the ambulance. You have to crawl, to your first aid station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. October 10th can't get here soon enough. Can't believe we're already in August. You believe we're already in August of 2021? 7 months down, 5 more to go. Where's the time going? I have no clue. Another thing that's puzzling me, aside from the fact that Legends of the Hidden Temple is finally coming back in style, it's being rebooted. I cannot wait. But on the flip side of things, I was not aware of this. Now, some of us may have grown up watching this animated series on PBS or WGH Educational Television. It was called Arthur. It was an animated series based on a series of children's books of the same name, Arthur, which centered around a young boy who is an aardvark and his friends going around the neighborhood, going on adventures, and going to school, learning their ABCs, learning the 1, 2, 3s, kind of like the Jackson 5 song, ABC, the 1, 2, 3, do, re, mi. Anyway, that's my horrible singing voice for you. So Arthur has been on for going on 25 years, and all of the I didn't know it was going on for this long. I thought it aired in the 90s, and then it kind of stopped. And I thought that all these seasons and all these years later, these were all reruns. But no, 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 no. Those were actually new episodes with new seasons, introducing new characters, new plot lines, and all these other things that are teaching kids, certain lessons of life, certain educational lessons like reading, writing, spelling, all that good jazz. They have officially stated that Arthur is coming to an end in the winter of 2022 after 25 years on the air. That's crazy.
That's insane.
25 years of not just the deep educational value of it, not just reading and writing and go to school, but the intense citizenship and morality that Arthur brought to the screen, which is something that PBS has always been intensely proud of doing, is bringing those life lessons. And Arthur did it week in, week out for 20 plus years. And it was a complete surprise. I mean, they finished shooting this current season, last year sometime.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah. And no one knew when they finished this season that it was the last season. So,
oh wow.
Everybody over there at the show was, surprised. The writer, in an article that Ryan sent me earlier, the writer actually said they should come back. It's a huge mistake. So it's interesting. But Arthur had some controversy just a few years ago. And I'm hoping that plays no role in this cancellation. But it's a very touchy world out there these days for artistic properties. Mm-hmm. And that kind of controversy for a kid's show might have led to meetings that nobody wanted to have. So, but always right there at the leading edge for inclusion, diversity. The controversy that was created was actually created because of an episode on diversity. It was basically they did an episode on an LGBTQ wedding.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And it made headlines. Should PBS, should the kids? It was actually one state here in the U.S. I don't know which one. I refused to air it on the PBS television station.
Wow.
But so I mean, they've been on the cutting edge of leading, good citizenship, good morality teaching for a generation. 20 years is literally a generation. So 20 plus years, a generation.
But hasn't PBS always done that, where like they'll touch on something that is considered controversial?
Yeah, and they have, and they traditionally have. Sesame Street has always stayed right on the cutting edge and done it in a very non-threatening way. But nobody cares when nobody notices. Mr. Rogers dealt with some amazing, controversial issues back in the day.
R.I.P. Fred Rogers.
Yeah, and so nobody cares when nobody notices. But then when somebody does notice and raise a flag and cause actual controversy, executives get really nervous about that kind of stuff. Especially, again, PBS, they're publicly funded. The politics of the day can get really, hard on them. So, but Arthur, it's hard to believe. I mean, it was a staple of children's television. Obviously not something I grew up with, but something that my kids grew up with. And I never had a problem with any of the stuff that Arthur was teaching the kids. I thought he did a great job of inspiring children to be better. And I mean, that's what we all want, right? To be better selves. We want to be our better selves. We want our children to be definitely even better than we are.
Treat everyone as our neighbor.
Yeah.
Kind of like Fred Rogers, taught us many, many eons ago. By the way, R.I.P. Fred Rogers. Yeah, according to sources, Arthur is the longest-running kids animated series in history. 25 years. That's almost. I'm trying to think. What's 25 divided by 33? Anyone know the math out there? That's about 70-80% of my life. Like, my goodness gracious, good heavens almighty, I'm getting too old for this stuff. But I do remember watching episodes of Arthur. Willow, did you ever watch episodes of Arthur when you were young?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you remember the theme song? He's walking down the street, got the jazz thing going on. You like that? You remember that?
Watched it with the kids that I grew up with in my foster home, and even watched it with the kids that I was a nanny for. So.
Aww. Did you write a story about that? Did you write the Nanny Diaries? No, I'm kidding.
That's the thing about a show like that has such duration, though, is it's a show that you watch as kids, that you grew up,
and then you pass it on to the new
generation
kids.
of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to find something that speaks across generations. And when you find something, the idea of canceling it is, why would you do that? This is literally bridging the gap between parents and their children, between aunts and uncles and grandparents and their children. So it's an odd choice.
It is. And this show comes from a long lineage of great shows, such as Reading Rainbow, hosted by LeVar Burton. You had Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, hosted by the late, great Fred Rogers, I might add. Then you had Arthur, and you had other series that kind of followed that a little bit. Maybe The Busy World of Richard Scarry. You had, Willow's, you know what I'm talking about. And
we
all
had
remember
our
the
own
books.
kids shows up here in Canada, so
There's not many kids shows in Canada, but we got a few. I don't know.
Well, they have to keep.
Big one.
It's Canada. They have to keep new kids shows coming. They got to keep
over
them
and
fresh.
over again.
Yeah, because
Fresh,
let's face it, it's Canada, guys. It gets cold in the winter times. Every spring, there's more babies. It's cold.
Oh boy, I was gonna say something that would not have gone over well
We're
with the
not
censors.
Russia.
Whoa, okay. We crossed. Okay, there goes the censors.
We aren't that bored in the wintertime.
We're not that. Gosh. Hey, look, Willow, with all due respect, some of your shows that were filmed in Canada do air a lot on U.S. television. So there are a lot of great things that come from Canada. There's no question.
Hey, we had our Canadian Mr. Rogers, and that was Mr. Dress Up. So
Exactly. You had CTV. You had, what was it? I think Are You Afraid of the Dark was filmed up in Canada.
Many shows were filmed up in Canada.
I mean, there's a plethora, yes, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to 90s programming,
I actually think there's a sign somewhere in LA and New York, somewhere.
Probably.
I don't know where the sign is, but I know that so many film and television projects are done in Canada that I think there's a sign somewhere with a little Canadian logo on it. It says, "Make your movie in Canada. We have cookies." and
cheap rent.
Is that true, Willow? There's cheap rent? Yeah.
And cookies.
And cookies. Well, quick sidebar before I move on to my next topic. Willow, what's your favorite kind of cookie?
What's my favorite kind of cookie?
What's your
Oreos.
favorite kind of... If you were given a bag of cookies, what flavor must they be?
Oreos.
Now, are these regular Oreos or double or triple stuff?
Oh, I'll take the double stuff, but I will always eat whatever is in front of me, quite honestly.
Really? Really? Okay, that's fair.
And a big glass of milk. You have to have the milk with it.
And a giant glass of milk, just like the ad says. Got milk?
All right, now, Willow, most important question. Are you a dunker or a twister?
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm a little bit of both.
Are you?
I'm a dunker all the way. Make it mushy. I'm good.
That was my next question. What's your favorite kind of cookie there, GW?
First of all, I love Oreos, but my favorite kind of cookies are actually I don't know if you still get these, are the old Toll House chocolate chips.
Yeah.
And again, you dunk them, and when they're ready, when the chip is the only thing holding the cookie together, it's perfect. It's like preparing a meal. You have to hold a cookie until you can feel it not a cookie, and then you put it in your mouth and it disappears.
Hold it under the milk until it starts bubbling.
Right. When the bubbles stop, you know the milk has fully saturated the cookie. And then you can eat it. And you can't eat it before it saturates because then it gets everywhere. It's crunchy. It's crumbs and everything. And crumbs are nature's way of telling you you're wasting a cookie.
You know what? I'll just throw this out there. I'm going to give two answers to this question. One, one of my favorite cookies is Snickerdoodles.
Oh,
Snickerdoodle.
okay.
Those are good. And door number two, has anyone ever Vienna Fingers? Vienna Fingers, the ones with the cream in the middle. They're by Keebler.
Sage just said, yeah, she's got it. She's nodding her head in a way that is.
I'm sure there's a Canadian version of it somewhere. I just have to remember.
I don't know what is that. She's making movements over here that are borderline erotic. What is this cookie?
By the way, Willow, they're called golden Oreos. They're the golden ones.
Okay.
That's what they are. Does anyone know what I'm talking about in the
Okay.
backstage area? Golden Oreos. Does anyone know what I mean? I hope so. But yeah, Vienna Fingers is one of my other favorite kinds of cookies. There you go. I mean, of course, as a little kid, you remember going to the grocery store and picking up those little boxes of animal crackers that have
Yes.
string? Do you remember those? The little animal crackers in the little box? Yeah. Those were fun times when your family takes you to the grocery store. All right, you can have one thing, only one. And then I grab the box of animal crackers on the way out and be like, all right, check, please. I'll take these.
See, that's cheating, by the way. One thing, and he grabbed a box of something that has 100 of them in it. So
It's animal crackers, man.
Yeah.
Am I really the only one who liked animal crackers as a kid?
oh no, man! Hey,
Yeah.
everybody loves it. You got animal crackers are special. You have to set up your own little zoo,
Well, that's
and
true.
then you become Godzilla.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's true.
see?
So there's that.
I love the Teddy Graham stuff too. Those are
Ooh,
good.
ooh, Teddy Grahams. I like just the honey graham flavored ones. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Those were in the yellow box with the Teddy Grahams on it. Anybody remember?
Yeah.
Those? Boy, I'm having some good old flashbacks to our childhoods here, Willow, when we were going to the grocery store and picking out all those wonderful.
And I'm getting hungry.
Are you getting hungry or just
Why
hungry?
are you not doing a show that talks about food?
I mean, you do a show, Willow, that talks about food. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's not about crunching those cookies. It's about cryptid crunch, which we will talk about a little bit later on in this very program. But speaking of animal crackers, we were talking about, what was it? Legends of the Hidden Temple that involve, teams that have, colors like red jaguars and orange iguanas, and you have purple parrots. Then we talked about Aardvarks with Arthur, and unfortunately that show is coming to its close within its 25-season run. But I had an opportunity to read a brand spanking new comic book series that is Game Lit All Ages, which stands for Game Literature. It's an all-ages comic. It's brand new, just hit the market. It's written by a very wonderful writer known as Cindy Kepp. Go to CKOEPP.com for more information. There's one of your many plugs there, Cindy. We're here for you. It's called Animal Eye. Now, Animal Eye, see like an animal in a virtual world. Now, Animal Eye is a brand new comic series that follows the adventures of 3 kids that are on an adventure in a VR world, so they get to transform themselves into an animal, and their objective is to find a human companion to accompany them on these adventures. So you got characters that are all over the place. It follows the adventures of Ava, Nagid, and I believe it's Jaleel, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And the artwork on this is just, oh my gosh. Like, the artwork is so cool on this. This is one of the children morphing into a crow. That is insanity. So this is kind of the artwork. I'm sorry for the camera's glare, and I'm sorry that the camera is not the best, HD 4K quality like Brian Wensloff wants me to buy, which I probably can't afford because I'm not as rich as he is. But Animal Eye is a really good start. If you are not familiar with VR, if you're not familiar with Game Lit and that kind of stuff, listen,
Right.
I'm not really familiar
Let's
with
bring
this
you
kind
up
of work.
to the full screen there, bud.
Thank you, producers who are watching out for me in the backstage area. We know who you are. Probably should have done that myself, but I'm trying to multitask here, folks. Cut me some slack.
It's okay, I got you.
Thank
I
you.
got your
So, Animal Eye, I think is really cool. If you have family, if you have friends, it's all ages. Check it out. We'll leave links in the description of the video. We're going to be posting it on our social media. I've already dropped some links on the HWS Web TV Facebook page, which you can follow on social media today. So it's really cool. I read the first issue. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this goes with these 3 young kids going on these adventures, transforming themselves into a crow, a bear, and a dog. I mean, if that doesn't remind you of another great 1990s live-action series based on a series of books known as Animorphs, I don't know what will. Speaking of Canadian shows there, Willow.
No, man, you gotta love about this comic book series is that it's a comic book about gamers in a virtual environment. So it's like there's 3 layers of imagination stacked on top of each other. This is going to be this, and Cindy's an amazing writer, an amazing creator. So it's going to be wonderful to get to dive into this series. You're reading a book about kids who are playing a game, who are imagining and becoming their game characters in a virtual world. So does it get more meta than that?
I don't believe it does. And just to give the audience a bit more of a look of how this is shaping up so far, Here's the link of where you can find a copy of Animal right here on this website. We'll put a link in the description. We'll post it on our social media. You can get it as a PDF. You can get it as a floppy, which you can buy right here. But there is the cover of the story. Here's a little bit of what it looks like when you first open it up and read about these kids going on this adventure. I can't wait to see where this goes. It looks fantastic. I think everyone of all ages is going to enjoy it immensely. So if you're looking for something to read what's left of the summer or something to read this fall, check out issue number 1 of Animal It's written by Cindy Kep with the artwork by Rao Cruz. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm butchering that, I sincerely apologize. But it looks great. I'm happy with it. I can't wait to see where it goes. Willow, GW, everyone else at HWS Web TV, Familia, the family. Hope you give it a chance. Hope you read it. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Animorphs.
Yes, I know. I just said that. Yes, it does remind me a lot of Animorphs. I'm getting some vibes. I'm getting some flashbacks to the great TV series and severely underrated TV series, I might add.
Hey, there was a good book of Animorphs. Good
book series, good TV series, and it could have gone on longer, but unfortunately the executives canceled it before it really found its footing, no pun intended. I think it only ran for 2 seasons, Willow. So Animorphs only ran for 2 seasons, but it did star who would be known as, we know him today as Iceman from the original X-Men movies, Shawn Ashmore. Shawn Ashmore is in this show. It's crazy, but he does a great job. And also, a young actress by the name of Brooke Nevin was on that TV series of Animorphs, and she also went on to star in a short-lived drama series called, what was it called? Breakout Kings on A&E, which is about convicts helping police officers to catch other convicts. Fascinating crime series. If you have not seen it, it also stars Serinda Swan, who played Zatanna on the great TV series known as Smallville. Somebody save me! There you go. So, if you want another good dose of television shows, check out
Ladies and gentlemen, the HWWS Web TV Programming Department will be taking up a Patreon fund for Ryan's singing lessons.
Yes, thank you. I'm not a very good singer. I do sing before this whole situation known as Corona Miley Cyrus came along, I was going to karaoke a lot. That was a lot of fun, but I haven't done it in a while. So once Earth safely reopens, I will be more than happy to grace you with my karaoke presence. If I ever do make it to the great state of Florida, which a lot of our members of the HWS Web TV family are located, we should do a karaoke night. I think that would be fun.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I know Willow is so excited to not sing. I know she's over the moon. Over the moon excited not to sing, because you don't like to sing,
as long as Jewel doesn't, sue me for doing her songs.
Well, before we segue, I'm just curious. If you were at a karaoke night, Willow, what would be your first song that you would want to sing to the millions of people watching you?
Oh, probably Sugarland's "Stay" or Jewel's "If We Were Meant." I was meant for you.
Oh, I was meant for you. Okay. Interesting choice. GW, you have more than enough suits to, make yourself look good on stage when you're doing karaoke. The question is, can you sing very good? And if so, what's your karaoke go-to song if you're on stage?
Oh, I don't have a very good voice at all for music. If I were going to attempt to sing, which I would not be likely to do, if I were going to attempt to sing, I would probably have to pick something extremely country, because I don't sing per se. I am a fair mimic, so I could emulate something that was distinct enough. So I would have to pick somebody with a very distinctive, drawl or voice or something that I could play with, and I would not be singing per se so much as I would be imitating someone else singing. I have a singing voice that was made for silent films. So,
but if you were forced to, someone makes you.
I could pick something. If I pick something like an old country song by say somebody like Randy Travis, who has a very distinctive, very distinct voice that I could mimic, then I could probably pull that off for one song.
Sure.
Maybe, or until the first tomato hit me in the face.
Oh,
and after that, there's a lot of gurgling.
I can see you doing King of the Road.
King of the Road? That's the first pick?
Wow. Yeah,
I'm a country girl.
See, I might be able to do that. I might be able to pull that off. I
King-
did used to like to sing along in the car, but then, they, passed rules about, making sure your windows were up. I don't know if that's just me or that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if I were going to grace Florida, the sunshine state of Florida with my karaoke presence, I have a few go-to songs respectively if I'm a karaoke, but the first thing I want to do is I would want to do something that not a lot of people are willing to sing, and I'm going to do a 60s song called Secret Agent Man by Johnny Rivers.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to kick it really old school and pay respects to the artists that came before me. And I'm going to go with Johnny Rivers because Johnny Rivers, Secret Agent Man, the first time I ever heard that song was in a 90s film known as Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. That's the first time I ever heard that song. True story. It's a true story. A lot of the lessons I've learned and a lot of pieces of music that I've heard over the course of my life have been through movies based on their respective soundtracks.
And now I will say,
Sure.
as an 80s kid,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
while, we didn't have the most iconic music ever because, that came from the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
But what we did have were the best movie soundtracks you'll ever hear.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We took popular music and films and we mashed them together, and we got Footloose, we got Flashdance,
Top Gun.
Top Gun. We got the best movie soundtrack.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh my God.
The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club.
Weird
Absolutely.
Science.
Mm-hmm.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
The downside to the 90s was that every celebrity thought that they could release an album.
What? Hey, wait a minute, Willow. What's
Bruce
the matter?
Willis?
Oh well. Yeah.
Who, by the way, is
Bruno?
Bruce Willis, who, by the way, guys, is an excellent musician. He's
Yes.
just not a singer.
Right. Right. Are you? Wait a minute, Willow. Is it true that you weren't a fan when this soundtrack came out in 1995? Seal, Kiss of a Rose, when Batman Forever came out.
Okay, that song was pretty much the only thing good on that soundtrack.
Hey, look, like everyone else, I grew up on those films, but I will say, of the two Schumachers, Forever is my favorite one. And not just because of the soundtrack, but because overall, I enjoyed Forever heck of a lot more so than the Toys movie known as Batman and Robin. But that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me on this. But if you have any other differing thoughts, leave it in the comments section. What am I trying to say? Our operators are standing by. Someone you may know, Willow, John B. Pica, from back of the cereal box, no less, said that a film known as Weird Science turned 36 years young today.
Oh, wow.
Is that crazy or is that crazy, Willow?
Willow, think about this. There's a great scene in Weird Science where we get the very first look we're ever going to get at Iron Man.
Oh, of Iron Man, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's dumping a milkshake on our two heroes.
That's right.
And that's the
RDJ.
very first time we will see RDJ
Yes.
on the big screen.
That's very true.
Wow.
That is very true. Fun fact, Willow.
It
Fun
is.
fact. Oh my gosh.
Iron Man was a bully.
Well, I can't remember this or not, but didn't he make an appearance in Pretty in Pink with James Spader as as one of his buddies of his goon squad or whatever it was? With Molly Ringwald?
He might have. I'd have to go back and recheck that.
Yeah,
one.
I'd have to
I'm gonna have to
I'd have to
rewatch that
check
one.
He might have
Wikipedia.
done that. But see, just after Weird Science, and then after when they were introducing what was known as the Brat Pack, Pretty in Pink, and all of those,
That's right.
RDJ was getting very popular with that crowd. So him and Andrew McCarthy did a little-known film that was, bar none, probably one of the best dramatic performances by a young 20s or teen cast I've ever seen, called Less Than Zero. Which is a super melodramatic drama about drug abuse and the party culture of the
Yes.
80s. And he does a phenomenal job. James Spader, Andrew McCarthy, and RDJ with Jamie Gertz, and it's just a phenomenal film. And it probably showed RDJ's dramatic chops at that young age, where you could see the depth that he could go to.
Yeah.
And obviously, throughout a lot of trauma in his adult life, and then to land on Iron Man, where he brought all
You
of
know,
that down.
he's the only one that could have that filled the role way too well. Like, I'm sorry to say this, guys, but if he had decided not to do that role, and it came down to him and Charlie Sheen getting it,
or Tom Cruise was rumored to play Tony Stark
Tom
at one
Cruise
point.
was looked at, yeah. I don't think anybody could have carried that role the way that RDJ did.
Because he is Tony Stark.
I mean, in more than just an actor's way. I mean, he's an actor. He's a brilliant actor. Probably one of the best performances I've ever seen in the movies was him doing Chaplin. Chaplin Life Story.
Yeah, I gotta watch that someday.
And he was, and rumor. I mean, this is
Less Than
gossip.
Zero. I gotta see that too.
We weren't hanging out or anything in the day, but it's all rumor and gossip. But rumor is he was not doing well during the filming of Chaplin. So that performance, as deep and dramatic and amazing as it is phoned in because he's not doing well in his life at that moment, at that time.
Oh my goodness.
So, to see him do Iron Man, but because of that party lifestyle, because of that 80s background, because of where he had been, he really was a transformed Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He had lived that success dream, and he knew the pitfalls of it, and so he gave Tony all those same vices. He was gave Tony that swagger of a womanizer, and drinking and all the things that RDJ went through. So he didn't have to dig deep into his acting chops for those early performances. He just had
brought it all.
Bring it all with him.
And
he did. And I mean, not only is Tony Stark one of Marvel's great redemption arcs, because
he started the MCU.
It did, but it began what became RDJ's great redemption arc.
Resurgence.
Up until then, they,
he was viewed as a troublemaker.
He was. They viewed him as, hey, you're going to hire this guy because he's brilliant, and then he's going to get stoned and not show up to work.
Nope.
But
Jon Favreau believed in him.
Favreau believed in him, and
he pitched for him.
They gave him a shot, and honestly, can you imagine a blockbuster actor at the time, somebody like Tom Cruise?
You know what? I'm glad that Tom Cruise didn't get it.
Because we're so used to seeing him as Ethan Hunt 30 years later. I mean, can you believe? Not only that. What is the first Mission Impossible just turned 25 this year? That's ridiculous. The first film, not like the
first. Guys,
that's insane.
I went and saw Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
Oh my gosh, dude! I just saw that movie for the first time during the Miley Cyrus situation that we're in, and I gotta say that it's I don't think it's like great, but it has its moments, and also the catchphrase in the movie when he says, "Sometimes you just gotta say what the
That's
crap.
right.
Make your move." And I'm like, dang, son, that is some gutsy stuff, and you're wearing a pair of shades to go with it, and I like it.
If you anybody who can get away with dancing around the living room in his underwear, wearing nothing but a pair of sunglasses,
tighty whities, and a pink shirt, by the way,
and get famous doing it.
That was a pink button.
You got chops, kid. Go.
Yeah. I'm serious. There's no question. Which, by the way, you just gave me some homework. I need to watch Chaplin. I definitely need to see Less Than Zero. I got to watch these films. I've seen a lot of films during the Corona Miley Cyrus situation, but geez, I got more stuff
it just
to do now.
The 80s had a tendency to we either went all in for the entertainment, just making you laugh, have fun, risky business.
That's true.
Or we looked for some kind of a social message or consciousness. Less Than Zero is an excellent example of that. We were noticing what kind of kids we were becoming because there was drinking and there was drugs and there was coke everywhere that you went, and there was. So we knew what was happening to us, and we wanted to tell a story about the downside of it. Another great one a couple years later would have been again Jamie Gertz and then Kirk Cameron in a film called Listen to Me, which is a brilliant drama about a debate team and a wealthy kid who ends up being suicidal, and it's a brilliant film. But it deals with the idea of teen and young adult suicide, which was at an all-time high.
And I'm surprised that Kirk Cameron did a role that like intense, because now he doesn't do a whole lot of movies.
I'm sorry. My only
friendly
research with Kirk Cameron is his appearances on Full House, because at the time I didn't know that was Candace's brother. And secondly, the Left Behind trilogy. Sorry,
So, yeah,
that's
well,
my only
I mean,
experience with Kirk Cameron.
Kurt does a lot of films now for his church, for his faith.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of activism for his faith as well. And so does Candace. And
Oh yeah, Candace is on Lifetime. No, not Lifetime. Hallmark movies.
Hallmark movies.
Yeah, she
does a
films
lot of
50,000 of those a year.
Oh,
Why?
yes. You know, I mean, and
God,
you know,
she's
God
so
bless
much
them. They're
better
doing they're proselytizing, and they're doing what they need to do for themselves, and
hey, they get a paycheck.
they get a paycheck.
They get a fat paycheck because Hallmark loves Candace Cameron Bure.
You know what? She's a phenomenal young actress, but she
I
plays
like
the same.
her.
But you know, it's Hallmark and Lifetime have the same problem at that time of year. Is they do 27 of the same movie under different titles.
It's the same movie, 50 times out of a million. It's the same
one. I
movie.
do Hallmark 1 month out of the year because the Christmas month, and
the
only
Christmas
because
month. Okay, that makes sense.
I for that time of the year,
It's
I
the
enjoy
holidays.
the comfort of familiarity, and so
Plus, you get the happy-go-lucky endings.
yeah, the good guys always win. The
Happy endings.
boy and the girl always get together.
They get married.
Santa Claus rings a bell, and everything is wonderful
Hey,
in the world.
Someone
I'm in
dropped
it for
snow
all
on the
Dolly
village that was
Parton
supposed
stuff.
to have snow that year.
I love it. Yeah, the Dolly Parton stuff, amazing.
The Dolly
stuff,
Parton
by the way.
movies come into play, and then Danica McKellar from Wonder Years makes 50 movies a year with Hallmark, and then you get who's the other one? Lacey Chabert. Lacey Chabert makes 50,000 Hallmark movies a year from Mean Girls. By the
Now
way,
you got to be careful. The other 11 months out of the year, you got to be careful over on places like Lifetime and those places, because for 11 months out of the year, some husband gets burned alive for his indiscretions.
yeah.
And then for 1 month, the couple gets together. But then the other 11 months, they spend killing him off for all the things he's done wrong. So you got to be really careful.
And all the Lifetime movies of like celebrities' lives and
I mean, they've attracted
stories
some
that
big fish.
you want to see done in an actual movie, but Lifetime gets a hold of it and says, "We're going to do it our way."
We're gonna make it happy-go-lucky, even though it's a dark story. But I will say this though, they've attracted a lot of big name talents over the decades. That Hallmark and Lifetime have been doing these movies, such as like Jason Priestley. You got the Arquettes have come into play.
Dean Cain has done a dozen of those Lifetime.
Dean Cain's done like a dozen of them when he's a bad guy or he's a good. By the way, Dean Cain has played a bad guy in a couple of films, and I gotta say, I like it when he plays opposite because I was so used to seeing him as Superman back in the 90s, and to see him take a dark turn on some of these Lifetime movies, and actually he made an appearance on Criminal Minds as a bad guy, and I'm thinking, dang, Dean, you got some acting layers, man. I like it. It's cool. I like him playing the bad guy. Heck, he was the bad guy in Out of Time with Denzel Washington from 2003, which, by the way, that co-starred Eva Mendes and Sana Lathan. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Eva
See, I got
Mendes
fun
is
facts
such
for all
a great
y'all.
actress too.
Who is?
Eva Mendes.
Eva Mendes.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
My introduction to the lovely Eva Mendes, I met her one time, professionally. The first time she and I met each other was on the set of Too Fast, Too Furious. That was the first time that beautiful woman graced us with her presence, and I must say, very good work playing the undercover agent. Good stuff, I'm not going to lie. Then she did Out of Time with Denzel for the second time, because the first time they worked together was in 2001's Training Day. She played his wife there.
That's true.
That's right. See, fun facts for you kids watching at home. I can drop it like it's hot. But
Human
anyway,
IMDb right here.
I know. I am the human Wikipedia. I am your human Wikipedia, Willow. I can drop it like it's hot. But anyway, yeah. So Eva Mendes, yeah, great stuff in those movies. I don't know where I was going with that. Probably somewhere I shouldn't be going. But anyway,
I got to ask Ryan. Ryan, how it's right here in front of our 1 billion member Facebook audience.
yes.
How is the movie list Jerome gave you? How's that coming along? How much progress are you making?
Oh, Jerome, the name that I will never utter.
Ladies
again.
and gentlemen, for those of you that aren't know, Jerome Connor, one of our infamous co-hosts over at Saturday Morning Cartoons, has challenged Ryan repeatedly. He keeps sending lists over. He is spending more of Ryan's money than Ryan is.
Yeah, he is.
On
Very true.
DVDs and
Yes.
Amazon purchases and
A
whatnot.
lot of thrift shopping. Yes.
because a lot of these movies You
Few
can't
bucks.
get digitally. Like Ryan can't go into Amazon and just get a digital copy because a lot of these are hard copy only.
I heard you can't find actual physical copies of James Cameron's The Abyss, and that's why I was able to find it on DivaDub, my local comic book store. And yes, I've seen James Cameron's The Abyss for the first time during this situation that we're in. I liked it. Not as good as some of his other films, but still good. The visual effects are fantastic.
No,
but
James Cameron's The Abyss. It never won the water tentacle. Was if you think about the time that he made this was
oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
that digital water tentacle.
he was breaking some new ground.
So
Yeah,
that was the
Pretty
first thing.
insane.
The second thing is obviously if you're an Abyss fan, everybody's favorite line: "Breathe, you bitch," and it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked. She came right back. But all you have to do is yell at him really loud, and you can bring him back to life.
More specifically, we're referring to the interactions between Ed Harris and Mary
Ed-
Elizabeth
that's right.
Mastrantonio.
And
That is the movie that almost killed Ed Harris, though.
Yeah.
That is very true.
yes, it is.
And he doesn't like talking about it.
But anyway, yes, I've seen that film. So, Jerome, let me give you some knowledge, son. What films have I seen recently? Well, James Cameron, The Abyss is certainly one of them. Another one is Spartacus with Kirk Douglas.
Oh,
I only
yes.
saw that one for the first time during the situation that we're in.
Awesome.
I'm looking at my to-do list. What else did I watch over here? The Prince of Egypt. I saw that. That was pretty good. Let's see. By the way, here's a film I think was really good. The Duchess with Keira Knightley, Ray Fiennes, Dominic Cooper, and Haley Atwell. Speaking of MCU alumni, oh my God. Before they were MCU alumni. That is a heck of a period piece. And I must say, Keira Knightley gives, I think, a pretty good award-worthy performance as Georgina, the Duchess of Devonshire, in that film. The Duchess is a good one. So I've seen that. Granted, I don't think Jerome added that to my list or anything, but that's just something.
Why am I even envisioning Ryan has this like tractor paper printer?
It's not here. It's downstairs on my desk. It's downstairs on my desk.
Yeah, he's like rolling it out. Look, that one's
I have a Rolodex.
that one. I
I
got
have a
that one.
Rolodex somewhere. But those are just some of the movies I've had a chance to see. I will say this, though. Movies that have gotten better for me on rewatches, though, I will say this before I segue into the next thing. The Shadow is better on a rewatch, and also the bank heist film known as Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer, that got a lot better on a rewatch. Those two films are a lot better on rewatches, I must say.
Heat's a good movie, but the highlight of Heat is Al Pacino and they have them having lunch
In the coffee shop, yeah.
Yeah, and
Coffee shop scene.
the reason for that is because while they had shared billing before in films, they had never been in a scene together before.
In the same space, yeah.
And seeing those two actors in that space, in that moment, if you're old, if you're pop sitting in a movie theater, this is heaven. This is what heaven looks like. These two actors in the same space, sharing a scene and doing it so well. Because I'm an old Godfather saga fan. I saw The Godfather for the first time. I was like 9 years old. I saw it. They used to show it on television every year. They show what they call the Godfather saga, which is the Godfather 1 and 2 in chronological order. Not in the order they were cut for the movie theaters, but shown in chronological order. So you start with young Vito and you walk all the way through.
Oh.
And it never occurs to you that these two guys are never in a scene together. And then later on, as you grow up, you find out, oh my God, they were in the same movie, but they're never in a scene. And so to see that in Heat, you just sort of like is wish fulfillment for all the old crime drama fans. You're like, yes! Those two guys are in a scene together, and it just makes the whole movie.
It's a heck of a film. If anyone has not seen any of these movies, check them out, please, because they're all really worth your time. And don't let anyone sell you short on The Shadow, because The Shadow is a good film. The Shadow, I think, is a good film.
It
to me,
is.
it's one of the better. It's one of the better, kind of gems of the 1990s. Because there were some bad ones, for sure.
Yeah, no, The Shadow. I think a lot of vitriol for The Shadow comes from an older audience who, again, as I said, there's kind of in the fandom there are folks that you can kind of call purists, and they're kind of hooked on the source material. And The Shadow, for a lot of them, was a voice on the radio, and more specifically, guys,
Orson Welles.
It was Orson Welles. It was the voice on the radio.
So good,
and so The Shadow, bringing that to life in a visual manner, I thought what they did a fantastic job. But it wasn't what you were used to. You didn't have Orson Welles as the Shadow.
AKA Citizen Kane.
And yeah, if Citizen Kane isn't the Shadow, you're kind of like, oh, well, that ruins it for me. But it didn't ruin it. It was a really good film, and it introduced a whole new generation to that character.
To the pulp comic genre.
Yes, which is I think it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It was good for its time. And on a rewatch, like you said, Ryan, you go back and rewatch that now. Because of it's sort of a half period piece, so it doesn't
based
age.
in the 1930s.
Yeah, it doesn't age because it was already a period piece. So you don't go, oh well, I wouldn't have this now, or I wouldn't have that now, because they set you in a universe that is a very pulp 1930s and 40s. So you don't get overwhelmed by the time changes. So it's just a really good fun. It's fun. Guys, remember when you went to the movies just because it was fun?
It's fun. We like to be entertained, you know. In the words of the Crow, the
All right,
Russell.
this is a geek show, Ryan. Ryan, you're a master geek. You know, you've got your master geek cred, right? Willow,
I got my geek shirt on.
Look, I know you are too. So I'm going to throw this out at you. It's not on the agenda tonight, but hey, we covered the three things that were on the agenda, so let's have some fun, right? I'm going to throw this out. I got two sets of words side by side. I'm going to throw at you guys. Want to get your take, because I'm not. I would have no expertise on this subject were it not for the online controversy. Two sets of words. First set of words, Kevin Smith. Second set of words, Masters of the Universe. Okay. What? So in the parlance of the youth today, what the hell? Why is this controversial? Somebody please explain this to me.
Okay, I think it's similar to how the fans of Ghostbusters turned on the women version of
the reboot from 2016. Yeah,
they didn't want the change, and they feel like us women playing in their sandbox is going to take away from the storyline of the original. And I liked the woman version of Ghostbusters, and quite honestly, I
thought it was funny, and I didn't know Chris Hemsworth had comedic chops, and he does. And
then he proved it further on in the MCU.
And to have the women controlled, being in Castle Grayskull and controlling the universe, essentially, there's room for that. Why? Yeah. I mean, look at She-Ra.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I am hard pressed because that's why I had to ask you guys, because first of all, I was not a kid when the He-Man show was on, the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe show was on
40 years ago, which amazes me.
I was a teen, and I went to a boarding school, so we didn't have a lot of TVs. And on the weekends, we didn't get up and watch TV. We got up and got the hell out because we went to boarding school, so we could go out. So that wasn't my thing. By then I was chasing girls, and I wasn't into watching my cartoons. But now that being said, I do remember the show. Yeah. And I read online, and because I'll send this over to Ryan next, because I read online someone actually in one of my posts that I posted. What the hell's wrong with you people? What's the big deal? Somebody posted it was very quote woke, too much, and I went, have any of you people seen the original He-Man? There was a morality lesson that lasted 2 to 5 minutes at the end of every episode. Every episode, 2 to 5 minutes was spent telling you, boys and girls, that's why friendship is important, and you should always tell the truth. Every episode had a morality 2 to 5 minutes at the end of Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
So the idea of introducing concepts of equality, equity, this is not new to the Masters of the Universe franchise. This is what they did. Oh. So doing it now all of a sudden is bad, but doing it 40 years ago was good. I don't, I get it. So Ryan, what do you know about this mess?
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. This is the first I'm hearing of a supposed controversy between the name Kevin Smith and Masters of the Universe, because I know what the property is, I know what it is, I know what the story is. Me personally, I haven't seen the original because it's before my time.
Well, I
haven't
heard two. I heard two complaints. One was it was too woke, which y'all are backwards out there because, dude, with a morality lesson that lasts
There
2 to
was
5
She-Ra
minutes,
already in the 80s.
done.
So you
I
cannot
didn't-
tell me that it
Well,
was
here's the
woke.
thing.
And the second one was that there was not enough He-Man in the He-Man series, which, by the way, again, it's not called He-Man. It's called Masters of the Universe.
It's an ensemble piece. There's more than
It's
one
an
character
ensemble.
in this
Yeah.
in this piece. Now, granted, I haven't seen this most recent the remix, rebooted, beef 'em up version by Kevin Smith. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to sit down and watch. By the way, the teaser trailer using Bonnie Tyler's "I'm Holding Out for a Hero." Good stuff, Kevin. I like it. Plus, it's a great song in general. Why not? They used it in a Smallville tribute video that a fan put together. So I respect you even more, Bonnie Tyler. 80s rock. But I will watch this miniseries at some point. But yeah, no, if someone's saying that Kevin Smith and Masters of the Universe don't go together, I don't know why. Because Kevin Smith has been a geek since birth, hence the reason we're on this very program. Geek at birth. So I don't have any problem Kevin Smith tackling Masters of the Universe. In fact, I'm okay with it because I may not have grown up with it, but I'm okay seeing someone else's take on a property that I personally may not be familiar with, but I know there's a lot of millions of people that are familiar with it. And by the way, kids were chopping at the bit to collect those figures and the toys back in the day.
Man, I tell you what,
Castle Grayskull.
I was out on the town in those days. However, I do remember the show. I remember it existed. I would not have gone into Netflix, where it is right now, ladies and gentlemen. Go to Netflix, check this out. I would not have gone into Netflix and watched this show because it was it's a cartoon based on a cartoon that I didn't watch as a child, other than a basic familiarity with it.
Right.
So I would not have watched this show. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It was reading all the hate, and again knowing that Kevin Smith has been the king of geeks for as long as we've been cool. As soon as they took us out of the lockers that they used to shove us into, Kevin Smith was there to greet us and say, "Welcome to the geekdom."
Welcome to Clerks.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin Smith was indie before it was cool to be indie. He was a geek before it was cool to be a geek. So to listen to all of these fans just completely deride him and say you screwed this up,
Everyone
I was
has to complain these days.
I have to see.
They're going to complain regardless, though.
There's going to be a complaint. Yeah. It seems like anybody can't walk down the street and just say a certain thought or what's on their mind because someone on the Twitter sphere or outside the Twitter sphere is going to bash them for it. I'm thinking to myself.
Well, and the thing is I'm looking at it as saying it is supposedly this contingent of people is supposedly the fans of the original property.
I was going to say, whatever happened to freedom of speech or freedom of expression?
But if you're a fan of the original property, then you sat all the way through every episode of the original series, and you listened as they told you that people who are different from you are cool and you should accept them. You listened when they told you always tell the truth.
It's called inclusion.
Be a good friend. You know, girls and boys can do the same thing. Yes. All of the lessons every week, every lesson they taught, you listen to those. And yet you think that Kevin is being too preachy because he actually practiced what the show is always.
I love the whole bait and switch complaint. It's like you baited us in and you switched the whole storyline. It's like
no. And here's the thing. He early on a YouTube channel that I won't name here because why do I want to give anybody free press? They're not going to name me. But a YouTube channel had broke a story that they had got a leak, a behind-the-scenes leak, and that the show didn't contain any He-Man. Kevin came out at that time and he said, the show does contain He-Man. He-Man's all over the show. So, and then now he's being accused by other YouTubers as being disingenuous and bait and switch. True story, guys. I would not have watched this series. It was not my cup of tea. I'm a 51-year-old man. And my son wasn't necessarily looking at the series, so why would I? So I watched the series. Episode 1 is all He-Man all the time because it is all He-Man. No spoiler alert if you haven't watched the show yet. Episodes 2 and 3 are team building. Episode 4 is more He-Man. Episode 5, again, all He-Man all the time. So 5 episodes that were in the first drop. 2 didn't have He-Man. 3 did. Majority rules. He-Man's in the damn show. Period. So he didn't lie to you. He told you the dead-on truth. He-Man's in the show. But it's not called the He-Man show anymore. It was back in the day. It was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
That's right.
The new show is just the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, like,
More
come on,
characters.
we're they do this like little thing in movies all the time. Okay, they show things that are in the trailer that isn't in the actual movie.
Oh my gosh,
constantly.
do I hate that so much.
how many scenes? If you're one of the now there's a word, and I don't use this word very often. I will never use this word in regards to an actual person because I don't believe it's a thing. But the internet has coined some of us in the community as fake geeks or fake nerds.
I love it when they try to throw that to me, and I'm just like, let's see what
I'm
you
like,
know.
first of all,
what's the word we use? Comment dump.
Yeah, exactly. So
There
now, so that being said, there are those out there. And when I was a kid, like really small, like 9 or 10, and I couldn't afford to go to the movies or whatever, and I couldn't go by myself. I used to watch a teaser or two and try to convince your classmates that you saw a movie. And you could do that. You could do that back in the 70s and 80s because there was
no internet.
Well, every scene that was in a teaser was usually in the movie. And if you had just half a brain, you could piece things together. But then the 90s and the 2000s happened, and Marvel came along. And,
oh, my gosh.
And they started doing, filming entire scenes just for a teaser and then getting rid of the scene and redoing it with another scene. So you can't do that anymore. You can't fake it and YouTube has got 157,000 people who do nothing all day long except for watch teasers one frame at a time.
Exactly. Well, it's funny, there's
looking for everything that you could have possibly missed.
Looking for flaws.
There's a celebrity that's in my city that was in the first Suicide Squad, and it was he was talking about it for a whole year before the movie came out. Yeah, I'm in this movie. You guys got to go watch it. He did the whole circuit, new circuit, and stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, finally getting some representation. Awesome. He dies in the first 30 minutes of the film.
Gee, I wonder what character this could be. I'm trying to think of the character. Because I have this on Blu-ray. I'm not ashamed to say it. The Oscar-winning Suicide Squad, I might add. It did win an Oscar. If you don't believe me, look this up. Was it Slipknot? Yeah, it was. Spoiler alert, Slipknot dies in the first 30, 45 minutes of the film, respectively. But
the movie's been out for several years now, so I think we can talk about it.
The movie's been out for 5 years now, so I think enough people have seen it. Plus, it won the Oscar that year. Remember, folks? Best hair and makeup goes to Suicide Squad. There you go. It's a
beating
fun
out
fact.
Star Trek.
Beating out the Trek of the... That's right. Beating out the Trek of the Stars. There's another fun fact. Gee Willie. Which, by the way,
how you know that the Oscars were bought.
There is a group, and I know, Willow, you've done entire shows on this. There's sort of a toxic group within the fan community, and because they are either toxically obsessed with source material. If it's not exactly identical to the source material, they hate it. Or they have spent $50 so that they could see the same movie 5 times in order so they could tell you exactly why they hated it and how much, scene by scene.
You're still seeing it. So,
but so I had to watch this show, and God, Kevin Smith, God bless you. I watched your take on Masters of the Universe. For what I could, I enjoyed it. The storytelling, it's a cartoon. It literally is like an old school cartoon. So I couldn't get into it, suspend disbelief long enough. However, I did enjoy the storytelling, and I did give you my whatever percentage you get for the view time. I did give you that because, brother, you deserve it for taking all the shit on the internet. So take my money, Kevin, and go make Clerks 3, and we'll really drive them crazy.
Oh yeah, Clerks 3, and I heard that's shooting now, isn't it? Well, anyway, that
is shooting right now.
It is shooting right now. There you go.
Marilyn and Scott and Brian all announced in the last couple of days that they had started doing their scenes.
Well, giddy up, right? Giddy up. Good
we're going to hopefully, if you're watching HWS Web TV and you watch And I Quote with Ryan or with Willis Pillow Talk, we're going to be reaching out to our friends over at the View Askew Universe and asking them to come and do a media tour with us as they wrap things up. So we most likely won't get Kevin or Jason. I don't know those guys, but But
nice.
Brian and Scott and Marilyn and the others who have been HWWS Web TV alumnus,
Hey,
we may be able
if the
to bring
Kitchen
them back.
Killers can make it on Brian's show,
You know.
he can come on ours.
There you go.
If any of the cast of Clerks 3 want to stop by, and I quote, I'm more than happy to talk to you about those films, especially the first one. We had the discussion about the Death Star, Return of the Jedi. And by the way, the sign on the door that says "I assure you, we're open." Very funny stuff, I got to admit. I just saw Clerks for the first time last year, so I do have some familiarity with
the great team over at View Askew are friends of the HWWS Web TV family.
They're funny.
Scott Shaffio, Brian O'Halloran,
there you go.
Marilyn Gigliotti, and of course, just adjacent to the View Askew universe, our good friend Ming Chen, who is from Comic Book Men. And so we'll
I love
be
them
reaching
so
out to
much.
those guys as they wrap their shooting to get their take on doing Clerks 3. Again, Clerks is not a masterpiece film. It is not going down in history with, Bogart and Bergman.
The first one is pretty funny, though.
But it is funny. And when you consider that this is a movie shot with about $5,000 of borrowed credit card debt.
Sold all his comics to make this movie.
Yeah, and he was in debt, and he ran up more debt to go make this movie.
Mm-hmm.
A film school dropout
Mm-hmm.
turns director and producer and actor and does it well. And again, it stands up when you watch these movies. They're funny, they're fun. There's nothing loaded about them. There's no great social commentary. You just sit down and laugh. And watch two stoners stand in front of
Convenience store.
Convenience store.
Thank you.
And Brian O'Halloran is the perfect. They should have cast Brian in The Office.
I'm telling you, man, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Malcontent. He is the perfect malcontent. They should have cast him in The Office.
That would have been funny if they did, hypothetically.
Yeah. And he could have just walked up every day or been in the elevator when they got up and just said his line. I'm not even supposed to
be here today. It's my day off.
There are days at work where I am very much like Brian's character, but then there are days where I'm very much like Randall.
Oh, you're pretty much like Randall every other day as the barista, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Why am I even here?
No. It's more like, this job would be great if it wasn't for all the customers.
That's right. If it wasn't for the people, this would be awesome.
If it wasn't for the people, but listen, someone's going to put a sign on your door, Willow, that says, I assure you, we're open.
That's right.
I done that. Well,
have you now? Have you done that?
I did that working one of the hospitality suites at KeyCon a couple of years ago.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
Because people kept asking if we were open because we had our door all with fringes and stuff like that, and they're like, "Are you guys open? Can we come in?" And it's like, so I put up a sign.
Ryan, we have geeked out with you for over an hour, dude.
Yeah.
Your show, your rules.
Yeah.
Throw us out when you want to. Whatever.
Sure, I couldn't tell whose show this was. Was it my and Dave's show, or was it the GW Palmature Hour? But anyhow, listen. In all due respect, we've covered everything, ladies and gentlemen, from the 1990s being rebooted to certain series coming to their ends. And then we went into the 80s, and we talked a bit about the 70s, the pulp era. And now we're talking about Clerks 3 coming to fruition after how many years after the second one? 20 years? 15 years? I don't know. Kevin Smith, if you know the math out there, let us know in the comment section because we know you watch this program.
There is no time frame for us nerds.
No, there is no math for us nerds out there. There really isn't. But I will say this, though. I just want, if there's a video store up there where they're shooting Clerks 3, I wish I could be the walk-on guy who walks into the video store and says, do you have the one with that guy who was in that movie that was out last year? I just want to be that guy. But aside from that, we're going to end this on a high note. So what we're going to do is simply this. We want to take this opportunity to thank those of you who watched this, who have liked, commented, subscribed to the HWS Web TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to do all that stuff. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Geek at Birth. Dave Adams, we wish you well. Hope you get well soon, brother. Hope to see you on the next episode of Geek at Birth. But I am Ryan of Nerd Culture. You can follow me and all of us on all forms of social media simply at It's Nerd Culture. Check out our YouTube channel. New videos are being posted each and every week. We try to give you the best content that caters to your nerdy heart's content. And I do a podcast called The Nerdcast where I talk about some of the latest movies I've had a chance to see. Speaking of Jerome Connor, there's your homework, Jerome. Listen to my podcast, why don't you? New episodes drop each and every week. And don't forget to check out my show, and I quote, it's Saturdays at 12 p.m. EST on the YouTube channel, on our Facebook page. So check us out at It's Nerd Culture. But before we go, Willow, our friend to the Great White North, the golden voice of the North of Canada. Willow Schuyler, where could the good people of the interwebs find you and everything you have coming up?
Oh, I'm all over the place now.
That's
scary. You can find me on all forms of social media as well, except TikTok, though it's only a matter of time. But yeah, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find me. I'm this. Wow, here's where my brain goes fuzzy. I'm the program director for Hanging with Web. I'm supposed to be doing all these great posters every day that shows what shows are happening. So I haven't done that in 2 days. So yeah, I'm a little behind on that. So I apologize, everyone. And you can now catch me on my new show called Cryptic Crunch on the back of the cereal box.
Yeah, your first episode just dropped, so people should check that out, right?
Yes. So yes, I'm making sure that I make my mark on the internet.
As if you haven't already, with your co-host Keisha Acup and JD the Jersey Devil, which, by the way, that sounds creepy just saying it out loud. They make the show.
I'm just there to make sure that, things are somewhat run smoothly.
You try to wrangle them in once in a while. I'm just saying. Don't worry. Congratulations on the new program, Willow. We wish you the best of luck with that. GW Pomature, the man who has 50,000 suits, 20 different sets, and a limousine and a private jet at his disposal. Where can the good people of the interwebs find you and everything you have coming up, GW?
Man, I am walking the digital backlots at HWWS Web TV. We've been happy to be here in the new studio in our new home. So we have been back on the air visiting our other show hosts and producers. We are looking forward to meeting with friends and fans at MegaCon 2021 in about 10 days. We will be set up out there. We'll be providing all kinds of programming for children as well as adults. And we'll have the set down on the floor, so you can come on by and put another brick in the wall for the Hanging with Web show and the HWWS Web TV family. We're going to be joined by Thomas Carter Rochester and David Thomas from Life's Thunder Action. We'll also have some other cast members there from the Kitchen Killers. We'll have Billy and the Commodore be coming out to perform Friday night, and then of course to be on the floor of the convention with us for the weekend. So lots of stuff going on at MegaCon 2021. And guys, check out Willow's pictures every day. I actually look forward to them because there are oftentimes things happening across the network that I don't know about yet. Mm-hmm. And that's where I find out about them, because Willow keeps better track than I can.
I have to actually go on everybody's page to make sure that they're doing a show.
And for those of you that are watching this on the YouTube channel, check out all of the pages on Facebook too. We started doing a new thing. Ryan and Willow can tell you. We broadcast each of the shows to their individual show pages on Facebook, and then share them to the network page, and then we broadcast them on YouTube on the community page. So you got to check out all those Facebook pages, because we want to try to build an audience over there. Let Facebook know that we're here.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. So thank you very much for Willow, GW, for filling in for Dave Adams tonight, the golden voice of the South. But he'll be back, hopefully in 2 weeks' time.
I wish we had that voice of Dave. He just got that deep. Where does that come from?
I actually have no freaking idea, but I will say this though: he's got a great collection of Funko Pops and throw pillows, because every time he buys a Funko Pop, his missus gets to add more pillows to their collection. And Willow's wearing a hat. I don't know why, but
he's always wearing a hat, so I figured, I should
that's
probably.
That's fine. I don't know what's on that hat. It looks like a design of somewhere from the Twilight Zone or from the grid of Tron. I don't know, but you know what? I am going to say this. Thank you to Willow and GW for filling in this week on Geek at Birth. To all of you out there, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And in the meantime, to you, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. Never apologize for being a geek, because being a geek is awesome. And this is all of us here signing off at Geek at Birth. Take care, everyone.
Welcome, Glasscock Park, to this glorious day.
Today is your lucky day. We got some great stuff. This is Glasscock Park.
you.
Come on, let's go, let's go. I don't have all day, people.
Now, it's time.
Tell your friends, huh?
I'm GW Pomacher.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
Please subscribe.
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 Subscribe. Subscribe.
Please subscribe to HWWS
Web TV.
Great bunch of people.
and don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows.
And videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon.
So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers
To 1 million and 10 million and 100 million.
on HWWS.
Web TV.
You really like it. I guarantee it.
Thank you.